Alright, so this video is about zero-sum games and non-cooperative games. So to start with, what are zero-sum games? Take it as like you have 10 chocolates. तुम्हारे पास 10 chocolates है और not तुम्हारे पास, in general there are 10 chocolates and उसमें से तुम लोग ने 6 उठा लिए and बचे कितने 4. The rest of the 4 you give to a friend. तो जो तुमने जीता वो तुम्हारे दोस्त ने हारा, right? Because he does not have it and you have it, so he lost it. So basically, total candies will always stay 10, right? The number of total candies that we had is always gonna keep 10. So basically, if one gets more, अगर तुम्हें ज़्यादा मिली वो chocolates, तो सामने वाले को obviously कम ही मिलेगी, right? So that is kind of the scenario in where zero-sum game is used. It is a type of game where the total gain and loss among all players is equal to zero. तो मतलब तुम्हारे पास 10 चॉकलेट्स थी, तुमने 6 ली, उसको 4 दी, ठीक है? तुम्हारे पास ज़्यादा है, उसके पास कम है, एंड लाइक द नंबर ऑफ चॉकलेट्स जो है वो कांस्टेंट ही रह रही है, तुम दोनों के चॉकलेट्स मिला के 10 ही रहेंगी. New chocolates will not appear. Okay, that is kind of the scenario. ठीक है? Now, what is a non-cooperative game? Okay, so if you don't know what a non-cooperative game is, a non-cooperative game is basically where no one shares or helps each other. ठीक है? Non-cooperative, pretty self-explanatory. So basically, everybody is gonna think about themselves. Everybody is gonna be like मुझे ज़्यादा मिलना चाहिए and तुम्हें as in सामने वाले को कम मिलना चाहिए. ठीक है? So all you're gonna care about is you getting more. ठीक है? And the सामने वाला getting less. There is no teamwork. There is only competition. Like it says here, the relation to non-cooperative games is that zero-sum games fall under category of non-cooperative games because no binding agreement or collaboration exists between the players. Each player acts independently, trying to maximize their own profit, right? Maximize. मुझे ज़्यादा मिलना चाहिए and minimize the opponent's payoff, that is तुम्हें कम मिलना चाहिए. Okay, now this is about pure competition. Okay, essence of competition. This is purely about competition. So, like, there might be applicable resonation between games like racing, like a game of chess, like a game of tug of war, right? There is one winner and one loser. There cannot be two players winning this game. Okay, they represent pure competition. Okay, completely conflicting. They have conflicting interest situation. Okay, conflict of interest रहता है that only one person can win, the success of one and the failure of another. There is no room for mutual gain of compromise, right? There can only be one winner. Now there is maximum expression of a payoff. ठीक है? So take it as if you win 3 points and your opponent, then what does it mean? That your opponent is at the loss of those 3 points, right? Even when we took the example of chocolates, there were 10 chocolates and then तुम्हें उसमें से 6 chocolates मिली और तुम्हारे दोस्त को 4 मिली. What does that mean? It means that your friend lost those 6 chocolates, right? The ones that you got, your friend lost them, right? So when you add them up, you get 0. So that is kind of a condition for the zero sum game where सोचो कि a player A's payoff is represented by this and your friend's payoff is represented by this. Okay, then the total payoff, the formula is not written exactly clearly over here, but the way you have to write it is total payoff is equals to the addition of this, that is aij, that is A's payoff, plus b, B's payoff, that is minus aij, which always will have to be 0, right? Then this reflects zero sum. ठीक है, समझ रहा है अभी why it's called zero sum, right? Because उसका जो sum होना चाहिए, it should always be zero. Total outcomes always balance to zero. ठीक है, that is the condition, that is kind of the math behind this entire situation. Now we come to payoff matrix representation. Okay, so payoff matrix की तरह ही रहेगा. This is kind of an example that you can give, right? Represented by payoff matrix shows the choice of one player. Like a payoff matrix in general, you guys know, and this may payoff matrix use होता है, so you guys can integrate it into your answer and like increase, like एक point आ जाता है तुम्हारे पास में कि like okay ये payoff matrix के through represent किया जाता है ना, how it is represented through a payoff matrix, that also you can show. Okay, now what is the next point about? The next point is about rational decision making, minimax and maximum strategies. Now, what does this mean? So each player is going to think what? Okay, now what is player A going to think? Now player A is going to think what is the worst thing that can happen. I want the move that still gives me the best possible result. मतलब क्या है इसका? मैं ये सोचूंगी if I am player one that I am going to think about सबसे बुरा क्या हो सकता है एंड व्हाट मूव कैन आई मेक कि ये बुरी चीज होने पर भी मैं एक बेस्ट पॉसिबल मूव लूं। ठीक है, मतलब एक ऐसा मूव जो मेरे साथ बुरा होने पर भी वो मूव मुझे बेनिफिट करेगा। दैट इज व्हाट प्लेयर ए इज गोइंग टू थिंक। ओके, so what is that called? That is called maximum strategy. ठीक है, and player B is going to think that I want the move where A gets the smallest win possible. मतलब B को एक ऐसा खेल खेलना है जहाँ पे वो मेरा सबसे कम भला करेगा। Did you get that? Player A is going to think कि सबसे बुरा क्या हो सकता है, and despite that, what is the best possible gain that I can get? Okay, that is maximum strategy. Mini max strategy is that सामने वाले का सबसे कम लेवल पे भला करना। That is called mini max strategy. In a way to put it, like for you to just get an idea about it. Okay, ठीक है। So these strategies ensure that neither player is exploited even under worst case scenario. ठीक है, so like nobody gets tricked or beaten badly. ठीक है, you have to like consider everybody in the game. Now there's Nash equilibrium. Now when the if you don't know what Nash equilibrium is, this is when both players choose a plan where now there are two conditions for a Nash equilibrium to occur. One, no one can change their move and do better. That in case कि वो मूव के अलावा अगर वो कोई भी एक प्लेयर ने दूसरा मूव खेला तो मतलब दे विल नॉट बी बेनिफिटेड। ठीक है, मतलब अब मूव वेयर यू आर बेनिफिटेड द मोस्ट। ठीक है, वो दोनों ऐसा मूव जो तुम दोनों खेल रहे हो और वो तुम दोनों का सबसे ज्यादा भला उसमें ही हो रहा है। अगर मैं दूसरे मूव पे जा भी रही हूँ तो लाइक आई एम नॉट गेटिंग बेनिफिटेड in a very खास way, so I stay where I am. Okay, then the second condition is that both of us players should be safe from losing even more. ठीक है, that is the condition of Nash equilibrium. Nash equilibrium also used in zero sum game. In zero sum game, this equilibrium ensures balance since any deviation will worsen one's payoff. Like I said, okay, Nash equilibrium ensures that both are safe from losing more. Okay, now then you can give your matching pennies game ka example. Matching pennies game, if you don't know what matching pennies game is, then it is where we have two players and player A, like a general idea of matching pennies is that player A will always want the same outcome. Okay, it's either gonna be H and H or T and T, and player B is always gonna want H and T or T and H. ठीक है, so basically if they get matching ones, A wins. If they get the opposite ones, B wins. So they need exactly opposite results. Okay, so what one wins the other loses. Okay, for make it a zero sum game they need opposite results, right? They cannot have same results क्योंकि we need it to be a perfect zero sum, which means zero sum means when you add them you get zero, right? So for that equilibrium to be maintained you will need opposite results, right? You cannot get the same results and then get and then equate it to a zero, right? And then there's real world examples like sports or stock trading. Why is it used in sports? It's used in sports because one team loses what one team wins, what the other team loses. It's used in stock trading because your profit becomes someone else's loss. It is used in war because in a more technical term, you'll definitely write it as a military strategy. But over here in war, because one country gains land and the other country loses land, right? In a very general way. So basically, total victory and loss balance out. Now, why is it important in game theory? Because zero sum games help us understand that we are fighting for limited resources. It helps us understand how people behave in pure competition, and it also helps us understand how to make the best decision when others are trying to beat you. Like we said, player A का जो strategy था, अगर मैं मुझे like कम अगर what is the best वो worst case scenario that is possible and उसमें भी what is the best move I can play जो मुझे उसमें भी भला करेगा, right? So worst case scenario में भी help करता है prepare करने को. So that was zero sum games.